Good morning, participants. How are you? Can you respond in the chat? Are you ready for us today? Good morning. I see Napoleon, I see Esther. Good morning, guys. Good morning, Achen. Ochen. Guys, I don't want to brutalize your names. So if I don't mention you, just know I am having trouble pronouncing it. Yeah. Owamani. Owamani, good morning. Nathan. Good morning, guys. Good morning. Good morning. Joanne, say hi. Put on your video and just wave to people. Wave. She's here, guys. She's right here. Ida, Jasper.
Hi,
You're mute. You're mute. We can't hear you.
You're most today's session.
Okay, guys. Who wants to start and let us know what you learned yesterday? What stood out for you yesterday? And if there are new members who have come on today, we thank you for coming through. We had a lovely day yesterday. We learned very interesting things. So who would want to recap for us? I would raise your hand, then we can give you a mic to speak. And then I'll take like 5 people. So please raise your hand. Oh, I'm going to start choosing. I remember that people were in class yesterday. Joanne is here laughing. Guys, raise your hands. Hi, Esther. Please recap for us. Esther, you have been unmuted. Please, you can speak. We can't hear you. You have muted. Or you can, if you're having trouble with your audio, you can type in the chat.
Esther has given a privilege to turn on our video if she likes.
Also, you have yes.
Gosh. So I was saying, yesterday we were told first to join social media, different social media platforms. Then secondly, we were asked to understand where our clients are, where they are shopping, if it's Facebook, if it's Instagram, if it's Twitter, and then to come up with a content plan. That was the most important, to write something, and then figure out how you'll disseminate the information weekly. You can use to teach, to educate, to sensitize.
Well done, Esther. Well done. Did you come up with your own content plan?
It's on my to-do list. That is the next thing I'm doing after this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
You.
Anyone else wants to recap? Please raise your hand. Esther's opened the door for all of you, so.
I'm also curious to know if any of you got some new connections yesterday, because also part of the training is to allow us get new connections build better online communities. So in case you got some new connections, it would be nice to also hear about your new connections from the trainings as well.
Napoleon, please. Can we have Napoleon unmuted, please? Francis, can you unmute Napoleon and give him rights to video also?
It's him now to unmute.
Okay, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Sorry, I can't activate my video. I'm actually in too many things in my small factory processing stuff, so I may not put the video on. So the question I was just about to answer is if someone got some new connection yesterday. Yes, indeed, yesterday I got some new followers, and actually some of them are with us here. I want to thank them. But also the thing I learned yesterday, I didn't know that it was that important. When you go to Facebook, to Twitter, to any of those social media, I think that 90% of youth use names that are very fine, very, very funny. You can't even recognize them. And yesterday, you find a guy called, I don't know, Kasule on Twitter is someone like romantic, I don't know, something like that, funny things. So that was something very important I learned yesterday. Good enough, I was using my real names, but I was just imagining in case I use some fancy names like The Rock, and I'm just Napoleon. So that was very important, and I want to share that with all of us.
Thank you, Napoleon. Thank you. So you found The Rock, you found the cow, and yet on Facebook they are not that. Guys, you see, you couldn't even identify some of you if you are using The Rock. Well done. Nisima, come and recap something for us. I can see you. You know, I'm now picking people. Please, let's give Nisima a mic. And if she can put on her video, it would be also nice. Oh, you have no audio here. Okay. Okay, I'll forgive you. Can you use the chat room though and give us a recap from yesterday? Claire, I see you're back today. Please recap for us. Thank you, Claire. You have audio rights. You can speak. Claire, are you there? Okay, if Claire is not there, let's go to Godfrey. Is it Geoffrey? Yeah, Geoffrey. Geoffrey?
Good morning, guys. I'm sorry, I was trying to unmute myself and it was becoming hard, but I now see where you have helped me. Yesterday's session, really, we learned so much, and it is more about we getting to the point of knowing that the people out there who we have to communicate to need to have clarity of what we are saying, and the content should be in such a way that they are able to also get a clear picture of what we intend to do, not just like posting without a strategy and without a way to make sure people can get to understand our business or our area of interest. So it's very important for us to always be clear so that at the end of the day, people can easily identify us from the crowd of people who are almost in the same area, but maybe are not as clear as we should be. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you, Godfrey. Thank you, Godfrey, very much. I like what you learned. That's very important, very, very important. Can I have two people also give me what their expectation for today is? Raise your hand if you have I want to hear from you what you expect to learn today. Oh, Napoleon, yes.
What I would like you maybe to explain to us, nowadays, there is a problem about some social media. When your account is not certified, sometimes they hack it or sometimes they block it for no reason. So I would like you to give us some light on how the process of certifying an account to ensure that it's original and things like that. Because at some point in time, you find your account blocked and you can't retrieve it and something like that, or hacked.
Okay, thank you, Napoleon. I would like to speak. Yes, Prince, please speak in the chat. Tell us what you would you're expecting today. Sorry. Oh, Claire, it's okay. You're early today. So yesterday you didn't join in early. So you're early today. You missed some things, but we are glad we have you today. I'm waiting for Prince to share his expectation, then we can dive in. Oh, I'm going to need Joan to read for me this name with a question in the Q&A. Please, Joan, help.
I think the person.
I think, and I would apologize in advance, but I think the pronunciation is Ibsa Usman. Is that correct? Please, if this is the correct pronunciation, kindly raise your hand. But thank you so much for your question, and we'll be able to respond to it shortly.
Ibsa. Okay, Ibsa, you ask, how can we integrate social media into research agenda, specifically the backbone of Africa, agriculture, minerals, indigenous knowledge, skill, and standard? Okay, you want to use social media to get it into doing research in regard to the backbone of Africa. That is, okay. This is a wider one. I'll pass it to Joan for later. We will answer it then. I'll go then back into the chat to look for the comments of expectation. Taffy, you said, what I expect is that we have to use social media positively for the benefit of our people. Okay. Thank you guys for those expectation shares and recaps. I'm going to share my screen and we'll just go through what we did yesterday, just for people who are not around. Yeah, so give me a second. Can you guys see that? You can see it? Okay. So yesterday we talked about building capacity. Okay, that is the whole, that picture is me, guys. So don't worry. Let me then just move to the next thing. So yesterday, day one's topics were writing for digital media, effective communication and sharing using social media, content sourcing, generation, targeting, managing feedback, and then we had our reflections. So we went through that, the different types of media, and media, owned media, paid media. And then we went into writing for digital media, where we have media writing skills and its characteristics. We had all those 6. And we went to that book. I was expecting someone to tell me, I liked the book reference. I went and checked it out, but I guess you guys haven't yet done that. But that is a good book to use for writing for digital media. And then we went to effective communication and sharing using social media. We differentiated between effective communication and what social media is and how they come together. Those are the definitions we had. Then we went to establishing how to write the effective content for social media. And those were the personas, how you have to go through it, what you have to base on to do your research and get the data. And that is what you do. My audio is faint. Can you hear me now, guys? Is that louder? Is that? Okay. We went into content sourcing. You can hear me very well. Okay. So content sources and generation. We talked about how we can source our content, why it's necessary, how we rewrite it, what we can do to get the content, what kind of facilitations we can use, those kind of things. And then we went to targeted content and managing feedback. Yeah, you can't rule people if you don't know them. And everyone who is online is supposed to rule. So, and the managing the feedback in that direction. So that was our yesterday. Okay, I'm going to go out of this screen share and then get into the new one for today. Give me a second, guys. Okay. Okay, so today we are going to talk about something very interesting, something Esther kind of mentioned. I need to shout very loudly. Is that better, guys? My mic was down those ends. Okay, loud, clear. Thank you, Martin. So we're going to talk about content more deeply. So the how-tos of online content management and creation. You guys can see that, right? You can see my screen shared with you guys. Okay. Let's carry on. So as we already know, content is mainly things that we share online to make sure that we have our message well received, understood, and it is returning on what we want it to do for our either businesses or research or any of the things that we want the content to do. So this content might be videos, it might be words, blogs, ebooks, maybe just flyers and posters, maybe music. That is all content. So the how-to, actually the how-tos, like there are many of online content management and creation. Next, the screen is. So this is what we have to do today. So when Esther said content planning and she's writing her content calendar, I guess this is one of the sections that you're going to enjoy more. Differentiating between content planning and strategy, that will be the first one that we're going to deal with. So when you understand the difference between those, it becomes easier to create relatable content. So this is what we are handling in this section. So let's dive in. Content creation, planning, and strategy. Guys, those two things are different. Content creation is different from content strategy. But many people tend to mix them together, thinking they're the same. Content plan is different from a content strategy. Content planning, the structure by which your company determines which content initiatives to execute and when. So today is Monday, we are going to do this. That is the plan. So it's in a process. You work in a flow of, this is what is going to happen. This is what is going to come through. This is what we are posting. We are posting it for this purpose, and it feeds into the strategy. A plan feeds into a strategy. You just pick into a strategy. Each strategy is a general one. We will be doing this for the month. The plan is either weekly or monthly. A strategy can be a general 1-year strategy. Then you go down into breaking into plans, monthly, and then weekly, and then daily. That's what happens. So what a plan does, it ensures content is unique and relevant. We tend to post things that are not relevant to our audiences. You just post because today I'm supposed to post something. So you take a picture that doesn't even work in the direction of the company's strategy or what you set out to achieve in your strategy, and you just post. Remember, your platforms are supposed to work directly with the company's strategy and the digital strategy that was created. Everything that you create is supposed to tie into achieving the goals of the business or the goals of the organization or company that you're working in, or the brand you're promoting. So the content you're creating here, the plan helps to ensure that that content is unique and it is relevant to the audience and also relevant to you as a brand that is posting it. The second one is account for resources at hand. So when you're planning, you're like, what do I have? I have pictures. Okay. I have an article. Okay. I have a video. Okay. It helps you to know what stock of content that you have. Is my stock empty or is my stock full? That is what the plan helps you to do. And then it helps you optimize engagement for each piece of content. What I mean by optimize is when I see this picture, let me give an example of that picture on the screen that you are looking at. When I look at it and I'm like, okay, what is it going to help me with in regard to the objectives that we have to achieve as a business, an organization, or a brand? This is what I have, and I'm talking about, I would say, Kahir Insights. And this is what I have. This is a typewriter, those old typewriters, if you guys can see. And the one you used to swear, you type and then pull up and then you type again, those ones. So the message I'm going to be giving this has to resonate with what Career Insights is going to talk about or is strategically presenting itself for that month or the year. So I optimize my engagements in the caption I'm going to put here. I may say something to do with the old is gone, the laptop is in, helping speed up creation of content that brings engagement and interactions for your business. You do not have to wait to type on paper and put it in an envelope to an inbox. You just have to type on your computer and send an email. This is the new way we are producing content. That is how I use that picture. So you optimize the content you have to create the engagements that you need it to bring. Already there people will be like, yeah, I remember the seasons of that typewriter. They were hard. I remember the PO boxes. When you're receiving an email, a letter from a PO box took long. You could wait for months, but now we just send an email and everyone gets it. We send a chat and everyone receives it in 1 second. That is the engagement I would want to hear. Then it keeps you on schedule. Your plan keeps you on schedule. I'm posting that picture, and then I'm posting no picture. I'm posting just a caption. Then I'm posting a video. That is the plan. So let's go into the process. This is the process. Elements that need to be in your content plan. So you document the process and your content flow. You align everything around one system, and that system is the goal that was created in the strategy. So you align them and you're consistent every time. Here, it helps you to prevent any chaos that will walk through. You know, those moments when you have your calendar and you're ready to put up your content, and then someone walks in and says, this has happened. You have to have that in your plan to know that where do we put emergencies? Where do we put immediate things that need to go up? Your plan has to have that, so that your consistency prevents the chaos that will come. Now I've already put up the 10 that we have planned for the day. I can't put in anything. No, if you're supposed to, you're saying you're putting up 5 content items a day and you've planned for them, make sure that your 5th one is for the emergency. And if the emergency doesn't come through, then you have already what to put there. That is what documented process is like. And you have to share these documented processes with everyone who is joined to be working with you on this content or managing the pages. So if you're a digital manager and you're managing the pages, you're going to work with your PR person or your marketing person, your boss above you, to show them that this is the plan I have for the week. Is there something that I'm missing? Is there something coming up that I should plan for? Those are the questions you're supposed to ask. So it becomes easy. Then from the process, you're going to go to your content calendar. This calendar helps you to now put the content where it's supposed to go. Monday, we are putting 5. So one is at 9, one is at 10, one is at 3 p.m. and another one is at 6 p.m. And then the emergency one may come in at 10 p.m. That is the content calendar and how it helps you. You position the content that you've created from your processes and done and put it through like that. Then here it centralizes visible schedule. You schedule everything for the whole week. After your boss has accepted and said, you know, guys, it's okay, we can take this on. You schedule it. Then onboarding and training. Then onboarding and training. Sorry for that. My phone was ringing. My phone was ringing, so I had to give it to Joanne to help me out. Onboarding and training. Onboarding and training is to let everyone know your process. Smooth and repeatable setups to minimize friction and learning curves. So if you are working with a team, this is when you onboard all your people. You say, you know what, guys, I have prepared this plan. This is the content we are going to use for the week. You guys can look through, help me understand what I'm missing. Can you also, when I'm not around, you guys can help me post this plan, post everything that has been put out. that is where the onboarding. And then when people don't understand what you put up or you're telling them to do, you train them to understand your plan. Then it becomes easier for them to help you when you're not around, or even remind you when you forget something that was on the plan that you didn't want to do. Promotion and distribution. This is identify the best channels for reaching the right people. So in the plan, you're also going to tell people, we are using Facebook, we are using Twitter, we are using Instagram, we are going to write a blog on this day, we are going to write another blog on the other day. We are also using this person, an influencer who does this for us. You putting everything in the plan. So identify the channels, you've identified the influencers, you've identified the bloggers, and all those other people that you want to use. Then the promotion is mainly, how are we promoting this content on these platforms? Are we also putting their ads? Are we co-sharing with someone else? You also put it there as a plan. Transparency and communication helps you to eliminate barriers to ensure collaboration is instant and consistent. Guys, if you are not transparent on the plans you're doing in your business yourself with either a partner or your research assistant or the research team that you're working with and you're broadcasting these online, or the team in the school you're in or institute, you're going to have problems when that plan doesn't come through. Because then everyone will be posting or asking you to post whatever they want. But if you collaborate on the plan, it becomes easy. Everyone says, okay, me, I'll take Tuesday, you feature my things on Tuesday. Me, I'm from the faculty of education. Another one comes and says, me, I'm from the engineering faculty, you will put my things on a Wednesday. Your plan now becomes easy. This is not a strategy, this is a plan. Measurement and optimization. It helps now to let people know, oh, on your Wednesday, I posted you as faculty of engineering, and this is how we are going to track the things that are coming through, or this is how we tracked as the plan was set. So it's accessibility metrics says to track progress against objectives and stay on that strategy. You see, this helps you stay on strategy. So that's why it says you're promoting all the faculties in the university, or you're promoting all the businesses, all the products that we have that we're selling as a business. That is what the strategy says. So you've given them, broken them down in days. Monday, I'm doing shoes, black shoes. Wednesday, I'm doing gray shoes. Friday, I'm doing this. You've done all that. Now you have to report and say, black shoes got us 17 likes on Wednesday, and they got us 100 comments, and they got us these kind of negative ones and positive comments. But then the yellow shoes, they were even sold, people bought them immediately, we put them up, they saw they brought in money. That is how you track your plan. Next. Please, guys, if you have questions, leave them in the Q&A or your comments. I'll come back to them as we go. So now to the content strategy. The content strategy is one that takes your business goals and then uses content as a primary means to achieve those goals. Some of the business goals that people have in their business are publicity, making sales, awareness. These are the goals mainly targeted towards using digital platforms. So those goals, you feed them in with the content. So if you're going to do publicity and awareness, what kind of content are you going to do to achieve that goal, that particular goal? That is what the strategy helps to do. A content strategy focuses on the planning. You see, planning is in the strategy. It focuses on the creation and then the delivering and then the governance of the content. Content has to be governed. Who takes the pictures, who writes, that is the governance. Who is the writer of the blogs, who is the graphic designer, that is where the governance comes in. Then the delivery. What are we using? Which mechanisms are we using to deliver? Is it Facebook? Is it emails? Is it YouTube? Are we doing webinars for this content? Then the creation of the content. Are we shooting videos? Are we writing it? Are we taking pictures? Are we doing infographics or just graphics alone? And then the plan, as we have talked about. So below are the content components every content creator should know when developing a strategy. Here we go. Here we go. So there are two content components that you need to understand. There's a personal oriented component, and then there's the content oriented component. These two are different ones, and they break down in these directions. They identify a goal that is for content oriented component. You identify the goals and substances. So when I say substances, this is where you're going to focus your strategy, what is required, the characteristics, the message. You remember when we talked about how you write your content, the language you're using, the grammar. So that is the messaging architecture. That how am I looking? How is it going to look like? Which words? Can this word work? Or I use it's different other word. Do I need this? I use a synopsis for this one, or I change? That is the structure, that the messaging architecture. Then the intended audience. Who am I talking to? How am I going to talk to them? What is going to be my tone? How is my voice going to be like? You see, guys weren't hearing me, so now I had to go back in and say, okay, maybe it's my mic, and I had to improve because now you don't hear me. It's the tone, the voice. How are you delivering your content? So identify the goals and substance, how it's going to be done, delivering this content. So because you can read, I have to balance in between you reading, interacting with you this side, and then also having my voice coming through. That is substance. Then on the other side of person, you have to outline the roles and the workflow. Who is helping me? Who is managing what? Who is going to maintain the content on a daily basis? Who is taking roles? You know, social media has roles. So you have a content creator, you have a page manager who is also a community manager, you have an analyst, then you have a strategist, the one who is now writing this strategy, the one we are explaining now. Then you have the influencers, you have a media buyer, the one who handles the video, the ads, all of these. And then you have one person who is overlooking them, may it be the communications person or the marketing person. So you outline the roles and the workflow. Do you need all these people that I've mentioned or not? Or there are two people who can handle all of them at the same time? What tools are available and required to do the work that you're going to do? Throughout the whole content life cycle, who is doing what tools are they available? There's the money available to buy the tools. If it's not there, what do we do? That is how the strategy is supposed to be done on the human side. Now, when we go back on the content structure, this is the determination of how the content is going to be structured. Focusing on how content is prioritized, organized, and accessed. What takes priority first? Is it talking about our event, or is it talking about our products? Is it talking about our individuals as employees, or it's talking about what we are working on? How are we organizing it? Is it just jib jang at 10, we put this, at 5, we put the other, or we give them days and say, you know what, for individuals, talking about our staff, we are going to give you Monday. You organize it like that. And then how is it going to be accessed? Is it in a folder somewhere, or is it on a flash somewhere? Is it on a hard drive? Is it on the Google Drive? Is it in someone's email seated that you need to access? How do people actually get the content that they're supposed to get on the platforms? So focuses on the content itself, where it is. Are we supposed to go and also take pictures? Because we might not have this content saved anywhere, and we're supposed to create it. So how are we creating it? With whom? How does it look like? Do we need to write a script because it's going to be a video? Do we need a director to help us? So you put all those things in, you map out all the messages, you map out the bridges, you determine the table of the pages that are going to have it. That is how you do the structure for the content-oriented content. Then on the other side of the individual, you identify policies and standards. I've realized that most of us don't develop policies for our digital presences online or our pages. You need to have a policy, even if it's a half a page, even if it's just a page, it's a policy that governs the standards of your look online, that governs how you're speaking, it governs how your standards that you have. So focusing on the policies, standards, and guidelines that apply on the content and its life cycle. So this actually also goes into the whole digital strategy, because that is where everything also begins from. The policies, then you break them down to the smaller policies, social media policy, then the content policy, then the community management policy. You break them down, they actually can be paragraphs on one page. It helps keep your organization's standards at par. An organization will sustain and evolve its content strategy all the time, but the policy tends to govern it. So these are the components. If you want to take a screenshot, you can take a screenshot now, but then this will be shared after this training. Let's continue. I'm here anxious to read the questions, but let me first finish our presentation, then we can have that. But I want to see what you guys are asking. Joanne won't allow me. How to know your content life cycle? How to know your life? Yeah, she's making me even laugh, after making me sad. How to know your content life cycle? So knowing a content life cycle is how long is this content going to live? That is what it means. I've developed a picture. How long is it going to be used, or how long is it going to be necessary, important on a platform? That's what I mean by a content life cycle. Yeah, content dies, people. Content dies. In a way, it dies. If you don't reuse it, it is dead content. The event that you did last year and the images that you have can only be used in a report that refers back, but not all the content for that event. So that means all that content just dies and just refer, like, yeah, rest in peace content, so and so 2020, you are buried there, but we are referring to what are good things you did. That is the life cycle. So how do you know the life cycle? You audit and analyze. You look at what you're creating and say, for how long will this be used? Is it going to live for 1 day? Is it going to live for 3 weeks? Many people who do events tend to have a shorter time span, a shorter life cycle for their content, because the content is just for that event. So they create these flyers to promote the event. They create these nice videos. I'm going to be there. I'm speaking at this event. And it's done, because that flyer has the date, the time, the year, the color graphics that were picked for that year, and a boom, finished. When the event ends, that content dies. So you audit that and then analyze it and say, do we need it to continue for a lifetime of 6 months, or it's just a 1 day? That is how you know. Then the strategy also helps you know the content life cycle that you're going to work with. So how is it flowing through? The strategy says we have this event, or we are selling this product for 3 months. So you just know the content I'm producing is going to be for 3 months, and it's supposed to run through those 3 months. Or it is going to be 2 weeks, I change, I interchange, but at the end of it, everything that has been created for those 3 months is going to be dead. Then the plan also helps with understanding the life cycle. The plan may say we are only posting 1 day. That post is going on for today and never again. Boom. That content maybe goes to rest in peace in some grave somewhere. Then when you're creating also determines how long is the creation process. Is it taking a day? Are you creating for more time? So the time you spend on creating determines the life cycle. If you spend more time on something, then that means you're going to make something good that shouldn't be for 1 hour. You don't want to spend 4 days on something that's going to just be used for 1 hour. That is so much time spent on a content that is going to die after breathing for 1 hour. So that also helps you. Then maintenance. Are you able to maintain the content that you're producing? Is it going to be saved somewhere that it can be reused? That is the maintenance. So you come back to it, polish it, comb it, put some makeup again, change it, change the cabana, and you want to use the image that is in there, or change the copy that you put on like a flyer, and just because the image still looks nice, you just change. That is maintenance. So you maintain the content. Will you be able to maintain it? If you can't be able to maintain it, then how long will it be alive? If it is a day, then it dies then. If you can maintain it for a year, good for you. This is actually done mainly with graphics, online graphic flyers. People create templates. A template can be maintained for a whole year. You just have to come back and put in things. So that is an example of a content item. Next, to best practices for creating meaningful content. How do you, what are the best ones? How do you create this content? You begin with reflecting to your organization's goals and users' needs. Remember when I told you, you go and you spy on your people that follow you, or your customers, or your competitors. When you go there and find the things that you found, what do the people need? So that helps you to create meaningful content for them. Then your goals as an organization. What is it that you want to gain out of this content? What is it that you want to have? What it is supposed to bring back for you? Then you reflect on that, and then you'll have meaningful content. You create content that resonates to your goal and resonates to the users. And users mainly determine content. I will tell you this. They are the biggest determinant of what you're going to give them. When you come online, it's not about you. It has never been about you as a brand. You've noticed for years, you've seen how people changed Womeme's logo, and they just called them a different name online. And yesterday's example that was interesting for Joanne, the rat. People will determine what your kind of content will be like. So you have to understand how your users think and speak about a subject that you're talking about. How do they speak about it? Is it with a passion? Is it with anger? You can actually hear all those things in people's comments. There are tones in how they type, the words they use to express themselves in regard to a subject. Is a guiding line for you on the content you're going to create. So how do people think about that content? How do they think about the topic you're going to discuss? Then when you look into that, then you come down and say, okay, they are angry people. So how do I get into their anger and also pass my message? Or they are happy people. So how do I get into their happiness and create my content? Then communicate to the people in a way that they understand. You're not going to go to Mama Tendo and speak for Ugandans. You understand that group. For non-Ugandans around Africa, there's a group in Uganda that is called Mama Tendo, but they're like 10 now. There's the original one, which is authentic and doing well, but then there's Mama Tendo, the chest, Mama Tendo, the disgruntled, Mama Tendo, the beaten, Mama Tendo. There are very many. But in the discussions they have, those who are the parallels of the main Mama Tendo group, and the language there is so off. You don't go in there with your professionalism. You don't go in there with your, I am so nice, cool, and no, they will abuse you and chase you out. Yeah, Joanne did this. They will throw you out. So how you communicate to the people in the way they understand, communicate. So when you go into Mama Tendo, just know you've gone on a battlefield to fight with words. So understanding, going back to understanding the user you're going to talk to, and also be useful. So people just post, like I said, I'm selling, I'm selling, I'm selling. How is that useful to the users? So you're selling, I'm also selling. Now what? So you be useful with the content. If you understand that your content, what you're creating is useful. So I'm selling my shoes. They are comfortable shoes. They do not wear out quickly. They are waterproof. They are dust resistant. That is being useful. So you're coming and creating content that is useful for someone to buy. But if you just say, I'm selling shoes, like, okay. So you want me to come and also ask, what kind of shoes? What color are the shoes? Where can I find you? Can you share your number? People, we don't have that time. Or even you guys don't have that time online. When you see that, you like scroll, continue. But if you're someone who has given you that information, you know, oh, this is mine, this is not mine. The one that is yours, you're going to leave a comment or like. The one that is not yours, you scroll. Stay up to date and remain factual. Up to date. If you don't have information that is up to date, you're going to go and do that research. Remember yesterday we talked about sourcing? You're going to go and research, source the content that is relevant, source the content that is factual. These are best practices for creating meaningful content. You have to be up to date. You have to remain factual. You have to have the facts at your fingertips. The moment you come in with non-factual things, everyone is going to chew you. I'm sorry, I will be among them if I find your post. I'll be like, really? Are you serious? Did you do any research? Do you know even what you're talking about? Why don't you research? When Google is free, let me Google that for you actually. I will do all those things on your post. And you've seen this happen. You actually, some of you do these things to your people. You see it and like, are you serious? You've shared something that is wrong. Here is the link, read. So stay up to date and remain factual. Be accessible to all people. Please stop closing your pages. You know that you can close your Facebook page and only have the people like you. And then the people who like you, when they share the other side, they can't see that page. So someone is like, but you shared. I can't see anything on this page that you shared. And this person is like, but me, I can see. You, the owner, limited access. If you come online, you've come to a community where everyone is. It's like going to a Owino market. For non-Ugandans, we have an Owino market here. It's the biggest market that we have in the country, where you can find everything that you need. So that means the congestion is like this and everyone is selling. So you can walk on a corridor and everyone is selling trousers. Everyone is selling trousers. But the interesting part, everyone is making money. So be accessible to all people. So when you come online, you are like that Owino. Everyone is also selling. Everyone is speaking something. And they want to access you too. If I don't access you, you're not telling me anything. So their content has to be accessible. Be consistent. I say this with a pain because I know the pains of producing content on a daily and posting on a daily. But if you're struggling with that, I know another culprit this side. Guys, I know a culprit. There's someone this side I know. Whispering to you guys. She's seated right here. Consistent is something that I have found to be a struggle for very many page owners. Like very many people struggle with it. Posting every day is a problem. Even when people have their content, they just forget to put the content up. But that is a break. It's like when we are, I'll give an example. It's like yesterday when we were having a very interesting discussion, a Q&A, and the internet broke. That is what happens with consistency. The moment you go off, you lose people. And yesterday, the truth is we lost some people. We lost like 10 people off yesterday when that happened. So it is the same thing that is going to happen on your page. The moment you stop communicating, stop posting things, you lose people. Their concentration, the momentum we had built, that funnel to make them from being just viewers and then being interactors and then being leads and then buyers, can break at just being leads because you didn't post. So how do you actually mitigate that? Because I know that question is going to come. Go back to your plan. Build a plan. Remember that content calendar? Be like, you know what? With the way I see myself, I am only able to do 3 days a week and post. That is what I can do. Then draw the plan, get the content, put it in the content plan, and then work with that. Post that. Interesting, the platforms can schedule. Facebook schedules, Twitter schedules, Instagram you can schedule through Creator Studio, LinkedIn schedules. Which other one have I forgotten? These are the main ones, I think. You can't schedule on WhatsApp. It would have been nice, like here, to just schedule things and walk away, but you can't. But those four can schedule. So you schedule your things and walk away. You only come back to interact on who has commented, what has been said, come back to analyze so that you're consistent. At least people know this person posts every after a day. But you can't just post today, then post tomorrow, and then, okay, this whole week you post, and then next week you post Monday, and then you come back on Friday. You've broken that flow there, and then be able to be found. What does this mean? You have to put your numbers on your content. You're going to be able to put your logo. People, if you're dealing with a business page, your business page should have your business logo, not your picture, because you are the owner of that business. No, it is that business has its own persona. It has its own standings, has its own policies and skills. It is not you. You're going to go and put the logo of the business, because when we are looking for you, we are looking for these things. Actually, when people want to recognize you, they look for these things. Logo, name, username, because there's the name up here, but then there's the username. Then the hashtags that you relate to. Then your contacts, your website. Then they're going to look into your graphical template. How does your template look like? Your brand, I would call it brand guide colors. Are they the same? Because if you're outside there and you're in green and online you're red, you're already broken consistency. You can't be found. Be like, no, that is not the brand I'm looking for. The brand I'm looking for is red. At online, you are blue. No, you can't be found like that. Also, the last one is help define the requirements for the overall site. Overall site, I mean your overall page. If you have a website, define the requirements for all of them. Break it down in things that you can understand and the people can understand. What is required? Like I've just mentioned, actually, your brand look is a requirement for your online presence. Okay, guys, this is the end of that side. Joanne, can I look in the questions?
Kahil, our Q&A is looking hot today. There are some questions to answer, so I guess you'll first answer them, and then I'll take the ones that are linked to researchers and agriculture. Please proceed. Permission granted.
Yes, guys, I was dying here looking at Appy and seeing 10 questions, but she has given me the lead. So here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Let me first remove my sharing, then I'll come back to it. I also want to see you. I want you to see who is going to ask me questions, who is asked, who is present, those kind of things. So Q&A. How do we manage false news in ensuring that we minimize the business risk? Prince from Nigeria. Hi, Prince. So how do you manage false news? You counter it with the right news. You very well counter it with the nice news. Example, yesterday, there was a rat. And someone said there was a rat in their food, either their food was there. These guys just countered it with one press release, like this, and said, no, our standards refuse us to actually even have rats in the building. So that didn't happen in our cafe, nowhere. So easiest way to manage false news, first when it comes through, counter it with the new, with the good news, the right news. The second one is before it comes through, make sure that you have all these requirements that differentiate you from all the other business available. Because sometimes false news is put out in relation to a business that looks like you or is working like you. That is how. So you have to make sure that who they are talking about is not you. By saying, no, the business you're talking about is red, mine is yellow. No, our logo looks like this. That is a wrong logo. We are not the ones. So if you have those requirements standards already put, also in a policy format, then you will be able to manage false news. I hope I've answered you well. Prince from Nigeria. Issam, how the social media is challenging youth in their time management, or how is social media challenging youth in their time management? In the case, the many of us lose our time on unwanted issues. How can youth be selective in social media content? Okay. Time management and social media use. I think time management is not really taught. It's a skill. It is a discipline. It's really a discipline. You have to be disciplined in your time and know, I would say time management comes into understanding who you are and what you're supposed to achieve for your own self. So I would say it is groomed from inside you to say, I'm going to spend this amount of time here because this is important to me in this direction. And then I'm going to spend the amount of time here because this is important to me in this direction. So time management is a discipline. So when it comes to social media, you also go in and say, why am I on social media? Where am I on Twitter right now? I know one of the things that is eating a lot of people's time in, I would say, I'm using my own survey, like on my friends and some of my clients. Right now it is TikTok. TikTok is taking so much of the data and time because it's interactive. It's an interactive app. There's this new information, new things, new people, like you're seeing your celebs actually on your own, like you can interact with them there and then. People need to understand also that the time you spend there, is it coming out productively? What are you gaining out of there? So it is a discipline you have to groom in your own self. How can youth be selective in social media content? Youth being selective in social media content also goes back into a discipline. Why am I on social media? What am I supposed to get? What is the purpose of it? So that means, what is my purpose as me? I'll give an example. Me as me, Patricia, I am passionate about social media platforms. I'm passionate about content. So there's not going to be a day where you won't find me on either I've posted something on a social media platform or read something from a social media platform. Actually, I receive all my news around the world, in the country, my family, on social media platforms. WhatsApp, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, blogs, TikTok. Those are the places that I get all my news from. So it is also still that now that for me is a selective way of saying, I'm not going to watch TV or read newspapers. I'm going to do what I would call earned media. That is when people are sharing what they have seen in the media, in the news. That is what me I would use as my own news. What people are commenting about will now influence my decisions because then it is influencing theirs. That is what I would call. So being selective in social media content is still personal. Going back to, what do I want for myself? What do I want to do or gain from this? Then you also ask why we youth be focused in where, I think you're saying, where should we youth be focused in using social media?
Let me just speak to what you've just spoken about, the social media issue of time management. I think all of us, if you just try to look at it like money, money, say, if I have this amount of money is time used on social media. If I'm going to invest this money in this platform, what is my return on investment? So if I'm going, before you open WhatsApp or Facebook or Twitter, see what will be your value on your time. Look at time as money. The problem is we already think there's always time available for us. So you spend time on these platforms. But if you're intentional and you say, I'm going to go to Twitter, Facebook this morning, and I'm going to achieve the following goals, and then I'll be out. But then you also create that consistency. So I think let's attach value to all these platforms that we're engaging in. It helps a lot. Otherwise, then you are everywhere and nowhere. Thanks, Kahil.
Thank you very much, John, for adding that. Yes, let's use money as the determinant. Money, money, money. Where am I making money? Or if you're using money, that is earning. And some people would say, but me, I'm for influence. I'm not even making money. Where are you getting more influence? Then for me, I'm just doing, where are you getting more awareness? Or where am I, like, you have to get it to that same goal. Where am I getting more retraction for my business? Where am I? It goes back to, why am I online? Where are you online? Where are you using it? What are you getting out of it? Next one, anonymous attendee. In order to be effective, effective using media timely and in correct way is indispensable. How can we achieve this? In order to be effective using the media timely and in correct way is indispensable. How can we achieve this? Okay, how can you achieve effective usage of social media and on a timely basis? I think we have almost done the same thing with the first question above. We have answered this indirectly. It goes back to your goal. What do you want to achieve? Effectiveness comes to my point, like my goal is this, and I'm going to be effective at that goal. That means one of the things I'm going to do is next question is from Kellerman. Kindly share the YouTube links to yesterday's. Okay, they have answered that one for you. The links are in the chat for today and yesterday. Okay, I've answered that. Keferi, you ask, how can we use social media for the well-being of we Africans as a whole? What is the goal of we as Africa? What is our goal? I like this question so much because I've noticed we as Africa, as a continent, we don't have a goal. We actually so off in everything that we do. Like one is fighting. If we were united, we couldn't be fighting each other. And that means our goal would be unity. But here, you know, there's a war in Congo, and that war is sponsored by these people, the neighbors. And then, you know, there's a war in Ethiopia, and that war is sponsored by these neighbors. So you're like, Africa as a whole, we need really, actually, if we are all youth here, we need to work together to make sure that we get into the spaces that make decisions for our, I would say, regions, and then on a border region, because Africa as a whole have no goal. Even when you go into, is it OA, African Union, you don't feel the goal. So we can't decide really. You want to say we decide the Africa we want? Yes, we want to decide the Africa we want, but the truth is we can't. We don't even know what even the Africa we want. That's why many European countries are making decisions for us. Like right now, we are making decisions of becoming refugee camps for some people. It's not a bad thing, but is that the Africa we want? So my dear, it's not going to be easy to answer this question. It's a very good question, but it can't be determined in this session. The Africa we want has to guide on the goal on how we are going to use the social media for our well-being as Africans. But when you take it down to regions and then break it down to individuals, then you can find what you can do for your well-being as an individual for social media. Maybe then it will triple up from there, like grassroots up. So if you are two people who are using, it, then you can bring in a community, grow the community, then grow the country, then the country can grow the region, then we can have an African goal. Yes, Joanne. I know
yes, so maybe also to contribute to that social media well-being for Africa. Africa is a huge continent. And I think if we take baby steps, we'll be fine. So maybe for me, what I always say is, when you go to Google and you say Africa, what do you find as Google results? So I think if us as individuals, we can start to showcase what a beautiful continent we have, I think we can start from there, develop the content that we want people to understand about us as Africans. Because the problem is we let people tell us who we are. So it's time for us to start saying, this is who I am, and I'm proud of who I am, and this is my origin, and things like that. Have dialogue around things like that. Create content that can be able to influence people from the outside. The issue has always been people are influencing us from the other side. So I think if we can start to slowly, even as individuals, say good things about ourselves. We are so rich and there's so much to share, but we don't share. And these platforms are for that reason, to share our beauty as a continent, our intelligence, our knowledge, our research, our innovations. All these ideas are really, they're meant to help us share these things. And if you can build these mass content communities online, I think we'll be good to go one day. Thanks, Kyle. Winnie says, how can researchers share findings appropriately through social media? Winnie, thank you so much for this question. I think it's the reason why RUFORUM began these trainings. Researchers have a problem with socially explaining their knowledge. And I think it is why we said, how can we help researchers be better communicators? So we began these trainings of social media, helping them to understand that you can still share your information on social media and be able to reach a wider range of people in regards to just having it in a bookshelf. But maybe to say how, the how bit is, I always ask people, if your grandmother asked you as a researcher, what are you doing as a researcher? What would be your answer? If we can simplify our research to that level where anyone can understand it, it can then be easy for us to share it on social media, because social media platforms really are not serious platforms for us to share tables, findings, references. It's really about the common idea of my innovation is about this and it's going to help solve this problem. So I think for us, it is now a mindset shift to say from academic to social. So I think if we can have that mindset shift to say, let me move from academia and transfer that knowledge into a social discussion, I think we can be able to do that. So I think for me, it's a mindset shift, which we can do through social media trainings. So I think I would be glad if maybe we can take this discussion further, because I know there are other opportunities that RUFORUM is opening up for researchers that I think you can benefit in terms of skilling. Thank you.
Okay, Joanne, you can also just finish with Claire. She's also asking the same question in regard to increase her visibility on social media in terms of research outputs.
Yes, I think in addition to what I've spoken, addressing Winnie's question, I think the issue, yesterday I read someone's tweet that says, go to where your audience is. So as researchers, we need to find where our audience is, and that there are so many social media platforms that really support and encourage research. For example, RUFORUM does also share outputs about research. There's CTA, there is FARA. These are all agricultural research platforms. But if you can follow them online, it's about finding your audience and sharing your content to people who understand your audience. So for me, if you can find the right audience to follow, one, share the right content, make it simple, very simple, so someone can understand. It's also very helpful. And then you can leave the publications to, let's say, the research portals, the repositories, but pick out the key messages, simplify the key research findings. to a level where a normal person can understand your research. If you can do that and find the right audience, which audiences are available on Twitter, on Facebook, there are all these support groups that really support researchers, you'll be good to go. So you can increase your visibility on social media. You just have to find the right audience.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, Joanne. Thank you. Actually, you've also answered her last question down. She was asking about the platforms where she can do that from. So thank you. Let's take on more questions. Ronald, please do help me by explaining further how we can maintain consistency. Okay, containing consistency. You're going to have to plan, that's the first one. What is going to happen? What content you have? When are you going to put it up? At what time are you putting it up? Then you're going to go in and you're going to go in and can you mute? This feedback. Sorry about the feedback, guys. So I was saying you're going to begin with the plan, collect all your content that you have, the themes, the goal of the business or the organization, put it in the plan. Then get to your content calendar. Start putting things in the calendar, day by day or hour by hour or day after a day or weekly. Do that. Now, that means you're going to have either 4 posts a month, or you're going to have in between 30 posts if you're posting one per day, between 28 and 31 posts if you're posting one per day per month, or you're going to have 62 posts or around 52 or 56 posts a month if you're posting 2 months. So your content calendar will actually show you there's a gap here, there's a gap here, and there's a gap here. We didn't fill this here. Then you can fill in the content calendar. Then you pick from the content calendar the content and schedule it. If you're not able to be going to the content calendar every day, what is there? Post. What is there? Post. Then you're going to just post it once. Go in, schedule it. Facebook helps you schedule with Creator Studio. Twitter has it, also helps you schedule with their scheduling tool, which is just there on their tweets. LinkedIn does the same thing. If you have a professional page, you can schedule too. So you do that. That is how you do that, Ronald. Then there's a question here that I am missing. My piece is yeah, the one from Jackie. It's one I was missing. Can you read for me, please? Mike, I think as
Jackie says,
There's a question from Jackie now. She says, what do you think about the growing practice of blocking people on Twitter? I will answer after Kahil.
Oh my God, the blocking practice. The blocking practice is someone's privacy. You see, if I block you, that means I don't want to see your things. I don't want. And me, I don't block, actually, I unfollow. The only problem is when I unfollow you and someone else who I'm following follows you and they retweet or comment on your content, or they favorite, I'm still going to see. So that means that is why there's a big growing practice of blocking. Because unfollowing means I'm not going to follow you, but your content will link down to me. If either of my followers is following you, they will link. I will find it on there. It will just come on that TL for me. So the practice is mainly to safeguard some people. Like, I'll give an example. Mental health issues are being bashed left, right, and center, and someone who has suffered a mental issue may decide to block people who are bashing anxieties or depression posts. it is for their safety and their own mental standing or stability. Some other times we've noticed very much on, I would say in the Ugandan spaces, it's a feminism drive. And the feminists would want to block any misogynistic men who are, up there into trying to oppress women. So that is another also to protect itself from some people that are going to just interfere with your sanity. It's a sanity issue. And other people, it is more, I don't want to see your content. I don't want to follow you. I don't want to hear anything from you. And they just don't want to interact with any of the things that you're sharing. So the growing practice is mainly also goes back to a personal discipline, a personal desire of what I want to consume and what I don't want to consume. If I don't want to consume your stuff, I'll block you. Over to you, Joanne.
Thank you. And in fact, to one of the things I wanted to address, I just want to emphasize social media is for all, but you also have your small room there online. So if you create your own account, it's for your sanity. And I think there's increasing toxicity. That one is out of toxicity. Yes, that one. And people are so negative that people who have not been trained to handle crisis online or social media issues, they have a mental breakdown. It's really serious. And I think after COVID, it has really increased. So for me, I advise there is no shame in blocking someone. It is your space. It is your right. Don't be ashamed. It is for your mental health. Mental health awareness is real. I can't emphasize that enough. As much as we are training people to get onto these platforms, we also want them to be safe as they use this platform. So please, please guard your mental health because we need those brains in Africa. Thank you. All right. So there's one more question from Naris. She says, can I know the categorization of these online platforms or media? Which one is social media? There's Facebook, there's Twitter, there's WhatsApp, which others? Then there's Zoom, there's Google Meet, there's YouTube. So help me with these platforms. That's the concern.
Categorizing these ones will take another session because they are social media platforms, then they are media platforms, then they are content platforms, then they are individual platforms. So all of them actually go down into digital platforms. Like digital platform is the big mother. Then social media comes in and is the other side. Then there's the content, and then there's advertising platforms. Then there are individual platforms. Individual platforms, I mean, things to do with Jumia, things to do with those online buying places that also take your data. They do get your phone numbers. They get your information. Those are also media platforms. So to differentiate is mainly in regard to what each does. There are conferencing platforms like the one we're using right now, that is Zoom, there's Google Meet, there's Teams, there's, what's the other one? I've forgotten the other one. Azuri, there are many that do these meetings. Now they have even come up so much in this season of COVID and working remotely. Then there's video mediums, that is YouTube, TikTok, then features that are in other platforms of social media. Now there's a feature on Instagram that is called Reels that does videos the same way TikTok may do. And then you have also, I saw short stories on YouTube that look like TikTok or Reels videos. So those are features, but also in a platform. But that feature is someone else's big platform. So I would say stories on YouTube is what is TikTok's particular platform. But social media, as social media, they are Facebook, Twitter, WhatsApp, LinkedIn, TikTok, YouTube can be a social media, Instagram is a social media. Anything that helps you with collaborating with people on a social scale is under social media. Those some platforms can now Zoom. You've seen people hosting Zoom parties. That is socialization. So you can say Zoom does the professional side of being a professional meeting platform, but also does the social side of it. So some platforms coexist with each other. I hope I've answered. But the breaking down will actually take us another session where we have to now categorize all of them. Because even email can be a social media platform because it has a chat bar. That is Gmail. But then it is, and now for it, it's named a communication platform for you to send your mail and receive mail. But then making it a social one is the chat. So that is a feature that it has. I hope I've answered you well. And then Claire, you ask, how do I increase my visibility on social media in terms of my research out? We finished this. I think we're done with the questions. Is there any other? Consistency, yes, I finished one of consistency.
Maybe let me just read a contribution from Prince in the chat room.
Actually, Prince had put up his hand. I thought I would just give him a mic and he says it.
Okay. Prince, thank you so much for your contribution in the chat room. And I think I would love it if you can join us during the Forum first annual meeting, which will take place on between 6th and 10th of December. The issues raising in the chat really are what will be addressed during this meeting. And I think you being active on social media would really benefit yourself and also the online community, as well as the people that will be attending the meeting. So I think just want to thank you for your valuable input, and two, to really encourage you to be active online. There's already a hashtag called Africa Education Week 2021. I think you'll be able to also connect with people online and share your knowledge. Just that is to say thank you. And I'll be sharing the information later after Kahil's presentation. And your hand was raised, maybe you could say something.
Prince? Prince? Are you there? Can we give Prince a mic, please? Okay, maybe then give it to Jacqueline. If you can find Prince. Jacqueline has her hand up.
Hi, everybody. Thanks, Joan and Kahil. Can you hear me clearly?
Yes.
Yes. I just wanted to add something to a question about how researchers can promote their research. Joan mentioned one of them about sharing research results. But I think, for example, if somebody is doing a PhD, the results may come maybe 2-3 years later. But something that can interest people is actually the research process. I think it is Joan yesterday who said, you know, people don't really buy products if they don't know you. We can also translate that in this research context to say, people don't really read your research results if they do not know you. But if you shared information continuously about how the research process is going, for example, if you're collecting a water sample from the deepest lake in Africa, there's an interesting story around that, and it can, you know, encourage people to follow you because you're creating interest. And then next time, maybe you're meeting a community that's really remote. Maybe the nearest town is 1,000 kilometers away. So such things create interest. And when you finally share your research results, you will already have an audience and people will see you as a person. There's a tendency for us to see researchers as, I don't know, some people in society who are a bit robotic. But if you share the research process, it helps when it comes to, sharing your results. I just wanted to mention that.
Thank you very much, Jacqueline.
Jackie, you're very clever. Thank you. That's a very good contribution.
Then there's Calvin. Calvin, can you speak? Calvin? Calvin? Can we unmute Calvin, guys?
Calvin needs to unmute by himself.
Okay. Calvin, are you there? Your hand was raised, so this is why we gave you the mic to speak. Can you unmute and speak? Okay. We can give it to Prince, he's back. So Calvin.
Okay, hello, can you hear me?
Yes, Prince.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for your comments. I will have a couple of comments to make. I think on the role of researchers, and the last speaker really touched on a number of issues. And then I believe also the comment by Jane. I think what we need to do from our own experience is that we need to revisit our education. Education for what? Because most of our research studies most of our researchers don't do something that will relate to the value or commercialization of that research studies. One of the projects we are doing is what we call learning, development, and knowledge. These are key issues that whatever you are doing must address the sustainable livelihood of the people, and it must also ensure that it makes the society better. That is one side of the coin. The other side of the coin is that there is a need, just as the last speaker said, for us, and even you yourself when you are talking, the reason why we don't have cooperation in Africa or institutions is because we don't trust ourselves. There is this idea of me, me, me. We need to move from me to we. And what African free trade has done for we Africans, a market of 1.2 billion, if we don't collaborate, if we don't work together, if we don't share experience, other people will come in and take the benefit. So the issue on the ground now is collaboration, partnering, and building relationship. It goes a long way. If we can have relationship between Nigeria, Uganda, Kenya, Ghana, and so on, all of us, if we work together, we can share experience, we can share our knowledge. And that has been our own experience in this matter. I'm prepared to follow up on this with the organizations and see what we can do. That will be my takeaway. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very, very much. We appreciate that contribution very much. I can't add anything on research. This is really Joanne's field.
No, I am really excited that Prince has really spoken on it. These are real issues, and I really would love him to be present for that triennial. These are issues which are discussed, and the triennial really aims to bring people together, collaboration, partnership, networking. That is all what this platform is about. So I know that if you engage on this platform, you will benefit tremendously. That I know. And
Joanne, I assure you that to us, is what we have identified. And to us, it is what will drive African goal. I'm saying this because we have been involved with some of these issues. And the challenge we have is that we don't trust ourselves. Look, over the last 20 years, our organization have been involved in driving many things: climate change, agriculture, youth development, women, and so on. But the central point, like was said, if you take African Union, what have we achieved? We say Africa of the people. Which people? If development does not touch people, then we are wasting our time. So basically, we need to address the issue of the nexus between knowledge and development. At the end of the day, people happens to be the center of our development. And if the potential of Africa is what will drive the world economy, are we ready? Do we have the trained people? Look at our youth. What are we doing to them? Our leaders don't want to leave. Everybody wants to stay there. So I believe we have a challenge. And luckily, this platform that you have can help us in addressing and driving information. But the more people that knows what we are talking about, the better for the system. You and I will feel happy, because the question we should ask ourselves is, how do we make Africa better than we met it? That to me is a challenge. And media is key. Communication is very important. People is the center of development, and we must achieve it. So if you give us all the information, I assure you we shall be there. And if you, I will send something so you have an idea of why we are so passionate about this point. You understand? We are very passionate because we are speaking to African, you are speaking to head of state, we are taking to this. But we are grateful that we are doing so much in terms of driving this process. So learning, development, and knowledge must be the center of African goal and development. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Prince.
So tell me, where do you want us to send information? Is it to your organizations, or if you send it to the chat, we shall send you information about who we are?
Kindly let me share my email, and then we will have a discussion online by email.
Oh, sure. I've sent my email to you. So there is Sisme Vision 13. Yes, it's there.
Okay.
And when we send certain things to you, you know why we are so passionate. Agriculture is key. What are we doing? Food first.
I hear you. I hear you very, very, very much, Prince. I hear you. And I hear you, the passion that you're doing these things for. So we appreciate you to that level. Thank you very much. There's a comment in the chat that I'm going to look at that came from YouTube. How can I make my personal handle not so much involved in the business? Do you feel like your handle is being taken over by the personal? The corporate handles are taking over your personal handle. So there's a differentiation you have to do. Who is the organization and who is you? Your organization actually might have an easier name than mine. My organization has my personal name, and I carry that same name. The truth is I've struggled to differentiate the two, but I found a break somewhere. I draw a personality for the organization that cuts through and says that is the organization, and now this is me. Me does this. The organization doesn't do that. So even when I'm communicating with people, or we are having conversations like this, trainings, it's the differentiation. Are you asking for Kahil, the person, or Kahil, the organization? Okay, someone help me mute Prince.
Hello, sorry, I can't hear you.
You're unmuted, so we're asking to mute you.
Yeah, it's when I wanted to make a comment. And you're calling me, I could hear you, but you couldn't hear me.
Oh, okay. We had you earlier.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I must thank you and congratulate you. You are doing a good job.
Thank you, sir. Okay, I was going back to answering the question of differentiating between individual handles and corporate handles.
Okay.
Yes.
Patricia,
you
if you
mute
don't
yourself,
mind,
Prince?
there is a Asha Muhao's hand also up.
Yes, the hand is up. I just wanted to, can you help me mute Prince?
Okay, I thought I've done that.
So I just want to finish with a question, then I can have you usher in and you ask your question. The question from YouTube needs to be answered because it's a problem I've noticed with people who have personal brands and then individual brands. So to differentiate yourself between your individual brand and the corporate or your brand, the business brand, you're going to do the same thing that we talked about earlier. What are the goals for the brand, the strategy for the brand, and what is the strategy for you as a person? Strategy for you as a person on being online is what? How are you dealing with it? How are you working with it? How are you going to implement it? The other one for the corporate brand, what is it supposed to do also? Represent, because a corporate brand doesn't represent you alone as a person. It represents everyone else that you're working with. Everyone else from the cleaner down to the CEO up. So you can't just, it can't just be about your personal self. It has to be about the brand itself. And the corporate brand can't be about the individual brand because it is not representing you alone. It's representing the collective that is in the organization. So I hope I've answered the question from Achen, who picked it from YouTube. We will have Asha. Please come through.
Okay, thank you so much. My question, I don't know if it was someone raised it because there was a time my network really let me down. So my question is, like, as we're interacting with people on social media, we all know that there are some people who are not having the same goals with mine, and there are some people who are just there to criticize. So personally, I'm someone who is really, really emotional. I can get easily if I'm attacked. So how do we handle social media bullying? And then the second question is, as we're talking about the youths who are using, like, you find my name is Asha Muhao, but then on social media, I'm using another name like The Rogue. But the reason is you find that you want to, there's a certain message you're trying to put forward, but then the message, maybe you know that it will put you in danger, maybe in terms of politics or the government. You're trying to be an activist for something, but then you know at the end, these people, you see trucks of police tomorrow on your door. So the reason why you're using that name is so that you won't be in danger. You might put your message might be heard but then your identification remain unknown. Have you got me? Hello? Hello?
We can hear you. I don't know where Joan and
Yes, we
Patricia are
have.
hearing you.
Okay. Did you get my question?
Yes, please. We've been able to get your question. Kahil is going to respond shortly. Kindly hold.
All right.
Hi, Asha. I had your question. My Zoom went to not responding, but I had everything that you asked. And one of the things that I was telling Joan to respond for me is, if I had failed to get back on, was one of the things that I've learned on being online is you have to grow a muscle. Online is that school you go to and you are in senior one or the lower class, and you find the huge, big people. I would say that, I would call them what? The adults? What do we used to call them in school? The bullies that were ahead of you.
Yes.
You come into a community like that, and that community, yes, they are going to bully you the first, let me say, term. The second term, you're going to have grown a muscle that says, I'm not taking this in. Remember when we talked about discipline and how it is a personal discipline and how it is a personal decision that you make as a person. We have all been bullied. I know I have a thing in my speech, so that becomes a bullying aspect for people. You've just got to understand that this is who I am. This is who I stand for. And if you don't like it, it is you who is going to leave the room, because me, I'm here to stay. So when you grow that kind of muscle, then the bullies also be like, you've taken in all the things that I've thrown at you, all the bullying I've thrown at you, and you're still here. Then they will start respecting you from that angle. But every time they bully you and you hide, when you bring your head up like this, they will start throwing more trash at you. They will start throwing all harsh words at you, and you will not be able to handle. Remember, you're online for a reason. And for one reason, that is the goal that brought you on those platforms. If it's your business, it brought you there. If it's your research, it brought you there. If it's for growing an influence, it's the one that brought you there. So you have to find the energy and the zeal and the power in the goal that you are there to overcome the bullying. Because if you let the bullying in and it eats at you, then it's going to eat at the objective and the goal that you are online for. Okay? Then you asked about the other one. There's another question you asked.
Oh, the question was like, you find us a youth. For me, for example, I don't use my real names on social media. The reason being, from where I come from, they use that name to track you. For example, if you say something, you know, the government nowadays, they are doing something, but you try to be an activist. So if you come with something that is attacking them, they look for you. So one of the reasons to avoid that is to use like a fake name, so that when they are looking for you, they will not get you easily. So like that's why I was like the youth. That's why sometimes you find us using those names which are not real. But I don't know, are there some disadvantages when it comes to using a name which is not yours?
Yes, there is a disadvantage. And I hear you very well when it comes to civil society activism that we do for our country and against some discriminations. I hear you very well. And because you don't want to be the one that the van comes for, in Uganda, we have the van. So there's a van that picks you and you disappear. People tend to use the different names on their platform. But one other thing that I've found to be of great help and strength, if you believe in what you're saying and you're willing to die for it and to let the van come for you, and you say you are really an activist, because activism don't hide. Activists don't hide. And in activism, you have to be present to show face of who you are and why you're doing it and for what purpose and for who. But if you hide yourself, no one is going to take you to be serious as an activist. So if you're calling yourself the Rock, the beautiful girl of Where, and then you're here activating for women's rights and this, everyone will be like, okay, who is this? How do we actually know that this is a man? Is this a man or a woman? Or it is not the government themselves who have embedded into our organization. So that is the disadvantage of having names that are not really yours. People want to put a face to associate with you and call you of influence. They want to put a name to it, credit you or discredit you for what you have said, and know that Asha is the one who says this. He's the one that stands for young children. He's the one that speaks about children in this line. But when you have the Rock, everyone will be like, the Rock. Okay, who is the Rock? Okay, that Rock guy actually speaks about children, but who is he? There's always a question mark. You are that anonymous person that everyone wants to know but don't know. Everyone would want to fund but don't know. So you miss out on some opportunities like those. So it's wiser to say, okay, I'm going to be an activist. And then you look into the downfalls of being an activist. Yeah, they will come for me, they'll pick me up, but I'm going to be this person. I choose, going back into that self-realization of I choose to be this person, and whatever comes my way, I will take it. I'll put my names up And I'll have if they come for me, they come for me. I'm ready for whatever will come. That's the only way you're going to stay in line.
Maybe just to add to Kahil's contribution is your loss will be your voice and your identity. That's all I can say. So in addition to our contribution, if you choose and then go, but then build your voice and build your identity online.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. So we can continue. I finish up the presentation with the last thing on my agenda, which will be creating relatable content that sells. So when I speak about selling, I'm not talking about real selling of money, but selling is in terms of people buying into what you're saying. Now, actually, this tackles what actually you've been asking. Your content, if you post a content and you're talking about you don't have a name, the name you're using is not relatable, it is not going to sell. It's not relatable content. It can be relatable content, but they can't relate to the source of the content. So let me share my screen again for the presentation. And thank you guys for those interesting questions. They have been well noted and taken in, and also broadened us into understanding who we are talking to and who we are speaking to and who we are training and what more we should be adding to these trainings. So creating relatable content that sells. Everyone who creates content wants it to sell. Like everyone who creates content, as I say, sell is mainly in someone picking it up and reacting on it, or someone commenting on it, someone reaching out to you and saying what you said is nice, like what you guys are telling us right now. So our content is selling to you. You're actually buying into it. So when someone buys into your content, you've sold to them. So that is what I mean by that. Your audience is interested in it and has interacted with it, even downloaded it and sent it somewhere else for other people to buy into it. Yeah, so it has returned on what you set out to say. My content is supposed to achieve for me getting this number of people who like it, or reach this number of people, have this number of comments, have this kind of questions asked. Or when you're actually really selling something, it has brought in money. So how do we do that? 7 steps to doing that. 1, always start with a sales approach. When we're selling, when I say sales approach, it's more of why am I selling? What am I going to say for people to buy? If I'm the person who is reading this or consuming this information, how will I take it? Will I be able to say, yeah, I've learned something. Yeah, I want to buy that shoe. Yeah, I want to share this with other people. Will I be that person? Start with that. So when you're selling something, I want you guys to buy this, so please take it. So even the content you're creating has to resonate in that direction. Then start at the bottom of the funnel when you're creating. What I mean by the bottom of the funnel is, who is the target audience? You realize, guys, that this has come through for many, since yesterday, it's a target audience. Who are you targeting? Who? Because you're creating content for those people, not for yourself. Your first person in the mind is, who am I creating for? Who? I'm creating for Kahil. Who is Kahil? Kahil is this person. Where do they stay? Here. What do they like? This. You comment, you create for that particular person. So the bottom of your funnel. So the funnel, as I mentioned, is awareness, is interaction, awareness, lead, and then buying. So the buying person at the end is who you're creating the content for. So you're starting from there. What would that person want? So as the funnel goes on, you're actually going to see that the person you really created before will come through. Then the content you're creating, because you want it to be sellable, has to be, everyone on your team has to be in sync with what you're selling, because the same people who are going to help push it out for you. So you post it, you create it, and then it's online. The first people who share or comment on your content. And many people from your team or people who know you. So people who are already, I would go back to and media people who do word of mouth for you. They've understood you. They know where you're coming from, what kind of content you produce, what kind of research comes from you, the methodologies you use. So those are the people that are going to be the first to say, Joanne is doing this kind of research. Guys, help my friend. She needs you to fill in this questionnaire. Please help my friend also share it with other people. Those integrate your team. Let them know what you're dealing with so that they can be able to help you sell it. And because you're looking at them, even the content you're creating relates somehow with them. So they'll be able to fill in and also share it continuously. Teach your team assignment selling. So I've just actually tackled this. This works together with integration. So teaching your team on how to sell for you is, Joanne, I'm doing my research. I have this questionnaire. Can you pass it to people so and so and so and so, LOC1 chairmans, if you know any of those, or send it to these students in this class like this, or send it to business people, or this flyer that I have, can you help me pass it on to other people who are doing the same thing I'm doing, things like that. So you're teaching them on how to do assignment selling. You're giving them an assignment and how to actually sell it for you. Then create a learning center on your website. So when you're done creating all this content, it's everywhere. You've put it on your platforms, your social media, and then you have a website. You're going to create what is not the blog. It's what they call frequently asked questions. That is what a learning center is. So the community has come back with questions and you've answered them. But these are the same questions that continuously come. So when people still ask, but this question, you just pick the link and refer it to them and say, here is the answer to your question. So that is the learning center. And then you even advise them to go in and say, you know what, other questions that are related to this that you've asked are also there. You can find the answers there. This helps with reselling the same content that was created earlier. So you're selling everything that you already have, instead of recreating more. Keep all teams in your company aware of the marketing initiatives. So the marketing initiative is we are using Joanne to send things, to send our questionnaire out. We are using influencers, we're using Facebook. You have to teach your team to know. Keep them in sync. Let them know where the initiatives are going of the company, of the organization. We are having these webinars. Then the whole team has to come through and watch and learn and share with all their people so that they are all integrated in one place. Let them keep engaged and aware that it's happening at this day, it's on at this day, what is happening and what to do with it. Then the last one will be measure return on your investment. What I mean by investment is the time, the money, the knowledge, the skills, that any other thing that you put into creating the content to the end to posting it, you have to measure it and see if this content costs me 2 hours. In the 2 hours, what have I gained when I posted it? My 2 hours of writing this content, what has come through? If this is easily measured by people who do with selling product. So they design flyers, I'm selling bags, I'm selling shoes, I'm selling clothes. We provide this kind of, I would say, agricultural produce, those kind of things. And then they put them on flyers and post them online. The return on investment on that is how much people order for what they are selling. Those are leads. Then how many people buy and give them money? That is the amount of return they have got. So for 3 hours and an investment of 100K and an investment of 3 or 5 skills, we have made $1 million. Nice, well done. For people who are doing research, your return on investment is in how many people have filled in your research forms. We spent this amount of money creating that. We got a consultant, they did the research, they did this, we put online. How many people have actually answered our questions? These are the people. That is the return you're getting, because then it's feeding into your research and giving you the returns that you aimed out to get. These are the 7 steps to creating sellable content. If you don't follow this flow, you're going to have an issue with engagement and interactions online. Because if you leave out your team, no one is sharing for you. If you leave out your team, they have no assignment. If you leave out your team, they don't know what you're sharing. If you leave out your audience, you don't know what your audience wants to see. If you leave out the sales approach, you don't know what you're actually selling. If you leave out measuring your return on investment, you don't know how much is coming back to you. So all these have to work in sync to make sure that your content you're creating is working well and returning on what you need. And then you'll be also encouraged to create more. You'll be encouraged to go back and either reuse, give the content a much longer life cycle than a shorter life cycle, because you know it is working. That would be the end of my presentation and my training today. So guys, now I'll have general questions on the whole presentation for this moment before I hand over to Joan. Thank you, and I'll stop sharing. Okay, I'm looking for questions, Q&A questions. Okay, I have a question from Jacqueline. If one posts about their work and hobbies which affect different audience, is it advantageous to separate social media accounts for that too? No. Is Jacqueline the same Jacqueline who is doing the work and having the same hobbies? If Jacqueline is the person and not a brand, the brand doesn't have hobbies because the brand is a collective of people who work there. But Jacqueline as a person can have hobbies and work. So Jacqueline can post about that too, but the brand can't post hobbies, except if you're saying the whole team is going to be featuring their hobbies, because a brand speaks as a collective for that. When I say brand, I mean an organization, I mean a company, and I mean a research team, this kind of things, institutes, schools. Yeah, you can't have a hobby as a brand, except if you go this is as a collective, these are our hobbies. Either that or you don't share hobbies. I hope I've answered you well, Jacqueline.
Maybe just to add to what Kahila said, Jackie, I think when we began the training yesterday, we mentioned that as you introduce yourself or as you do your bios, you tell us interests and hobbies and also your profession. Because people on this platform want to know who really is Jackie, besides her being a knowledge management specialist. Who is Jackie? Does she like bungee jumping? Does she like water rafting? So who is Jackie? So even as a person, you need to connect with people that see you on the other side besides the business side, because also those are still your audiences. So you can still have 2 things achieved as a person, as one account.
Okay. I have no questions in a Q&A. All the ones that have been there have been answered. I don't know if you have anything in the chat. Okay, guys, thank you for being a good audience. I now hand you to Joan. Please, audience is yours, my dear.
Thank you so much, Kahil. I see people in the chat room are sharing contacts. Please do so. We'll also share with you the proceedings from the training by email. Allow me to share my screen shortly. Hello, everyone. Can you see the presentation on your screens?
Yes, it's okay.
Thank you. So my session was really to get feedback from you for the training that have happened yesterday and today, and also to make a few quick announcements about the next training opportunities. And then after this, we'll then have you share your contacts, and then we'll close the training. So quickly, by either audio or chat, would like to hear from you part of the feedback from the training yesterday and today. Kindly let us know what you've learned so far from the training, what can we improve in the next training, and was the session helpful to you and why? This is all to help us improve the next trainings. So if you have an audio, please kindly raise your hand and we'll be able to speak to you. Hello? Can you please enable the microphones, please?
Johan, you pick someone and then you should
Okay.
be able to.
Joseph, could you please speak? Josephine.
Okay.
Johan, that is Prince who is talking.
Oh, Prince.
Okay. Joan, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, please.
Okay. Unfortunately, I missed most of the program yesterday. The one I had today, I think one would like to commend you. I think very informative, very useful, very educating. And I believe that there is what I call a social asset in what you have achieved. And I think it goes a long way because building capacity is one of the greatest things that you can put across. So that's my comment on that. Very good. And I believe that we also need, like I said earlier, we need to build relationship and see how we can use different platforms that we have to transfer this knowledge. That is my first question. On the improvement for the next session, I think what I will possibly advise is that since people are going to register, it may be possible for you to give them an idea of the areas you want to look at, and people can prepare, because what you pass across, I mean, listening to Rachel on our presentation, or Patricia on our presentation, they are quite good, but then there are quite a number of issues that people can raise, but that needs also that they must have a foundation of what should be done. My last point on how the session can be helpful, well, I think it's the same thing that I've said before. I think what you need is a sort of a collaboration. We need to look at how do we widen the net. You see, my worries when I start to talk about collaboration and relationship is based on our own experience and the challenge that we have in Africa. It will surprise you to know that about 65–70% of African population happens to be young people between the age of 1 and 35. What is their future? And that is why some of us believe in mentoring. And I believe that if we can get this done, build up the network. For example, if it's possible for you to get the list of all these participants, their phone number, their names, and so on, I don't think it's going to be difficult. It's just an extra service, which I believe will be very useful. People can contact, people can relate, people can open up. And I believe these are some of the comments that I believe can be done. You can open doors, you can open waves. Take a country like Nigeria with a population of 206 million, and the young people almost about 70–75. And a lot of things can be done through networking, through this. You cannot have a monopoly of knowledge. So what you have, I may not have it. What I have, you may not have it. And if we put all our ideas together, 2 + 2 should be 5. If 2 + 2 is 4, then we know there is no value added. So those are my comments and my observations. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Prince. Could you please allow Joy to speak?
And there is also Josephine is allowed to speak, and Kefa is also allowed to speak.
Oh, hi. I put my comments already in on the chat. I just wanted some more information on the slides, and I know you already shared about the videos and all. It's easier to work on strategy and things like that when you have almost like a structure to work with. Thank you.
Joy, you can also go ahead. Joy. Kefa. Kefa, you are also allowed to talk. Kindly unmute yourself. Kefa and Joy, you have to unmute yourself. Joy, go ahead.
Hello. I joined in the meeting late. However, I have learned a few things, and I just want to thank you for the information that you have shared. Yeah, that's all.
Thank you, Joy. Anyone else that would like to contribute?
Kefa, go ahead.
Hi. All right. I saw this training really important. I've learned a lot on utilization of social media. I hope next session I'll also be much attentive, and I hope it will help me to gain much knowledge on it. Thank you.
Thank you, Kefa. Any more contributions? Yes,
Jackie.
Yes, I would like to really thank the team who has put this together. I found the training very useful. Like I said yesterday, social media is not new to me, but when you participate in these trainings, there's always something new to learn. One thing I've really liked about this one is the dedication of sessions to content planning and creation, because many times the focus is more about how to use the tools. But I think sometimes that's the easier part of it. But sitting down, developing guidelines of what would determine what goes online and things like that is the more difficult part. And I'm so happy that you have handled it. I cannot, I don't have anything to suggest in terms of improvements, because I've been happy with the way it was delivered. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Jackie. Any more contributions?
There's a YouTube comment that says,
Esther, please go ahead.
okay, Esther will go, then I'll read the comments from YouTube.
Okay, hello everyone. So thank you so much. I'm so glad that I took part in this training. I have learned having an objective for your social media. Generally, you need to have an objective. I've learned that I need to have a strategy, a content strategy, content plan, social media policy in general, and also training the team that is working with you or that is managing the social media platforms with yourself. And I've also learned something about organization of content. Like for us, or for the institution that I work for, University of Nairobi, we have most of this, but at the end of the day, implementation has been the challenge. And what I have picked is we need to have a central place for where the content will be placed, because no one wants to communicate an individual. We rarely put out an individual's perception. We want to put out the institutions. We really want to represent the brand and what it stands for. So it has caused a lot of fear. The team, no one will just put out anything. It's not easy to just be like you by yourself, creative. You have to work with the whole team and the corporate affairs and the PR office. So thank you. I have learned, and I'm going to pass the information to the rest.
Thank you, Esther. Tahil, maybe read the comment. Yes, please.
Comments that are coming in the chat. We have Geoffrey saying thanks so much for the information shared yesterday and today. We have a comment from YouTube from Destiny Gladys. She has 2 comments. She says there's a difference between content strategy and plan. Understanding this difference was key. The session was really interactive. Keep it up. Then we have William on what he says on what can be improved. The presenters tend to be very fast doing information delivery. There is need to slow down a bit in the next sessions. We apologize, William, if we've been so fast in the way we've been delivering the content. We will work on our speed next time. We have Zizan. I'm sorry, I don't want to destroy your name, so I'll just read the comment. You say you work from Mwapati Institute in Malawi. You're a local policy research institute. You have benefited a lot from the training despite joining today and a little late. One thing that you have learned is that you need to be consistent in your message when you are sharing information on social media. The issue of having a calendar is very true, and it helps in staying organized. Thank you for being really relevant in your examples. You're welcome. I don't know if you are, I'll call you my dear. Thank you, my dear, because I can't pronounce your name well. Then we have another comment from YouTube. It says, yes, it was helpful. It helped me understand some of the key things around social media management. Then Guma, you say, I have learned about content creation, planning, process, and a strategy in today's presentation. I was interrupted by internet connectivity and I wish to improve on it. This session will definitely help me in my daily planning of my activities. Thank you, Guma. Then someone was talking about their connectivity. William, the session was helpful to me because I have been able to edit my social media profile to look more professional, thanks to the training and the organizers. Then Adipala, you say, thank you for the active participation and feedback. Please do send suggestions on what we can do. Okay, sorry, this is on our side. Thank you for the presentation, that's clear. I learn more about social media every day. Ochen, you say you have learned all that was shared and are grateful, and you don't need to hide. You have learned you don't need to hide your identity on social media as long as you are on the right track. I think that's all. Back to you, John.
Thank you so much, Kahil. And the reason why we are having this session is to allow us to improve the next sessions. So thank you so much for your feedback. We are going to review the inputs, and then we will improve our next presentation. And yes, we've taken note. We'll speak much more slowly in the next trainings.
Comment. I have learned content creation, profile modification, and a better social media usage, though his network was unstable. Maurice says, thank you very much. This will greatly allow for our productive social media engagement. Thank you, guys. We appreciate your feedback very much. And where we've not done very well, we promise that we will improve next time. Back to you, John.
Thank you, Kahil. So I would like to share some upcoming opportunities for the team, and I would kindly request that most of you have indicated that you've benefited from this 2-day training. We encourage you to let others also benefit. So if you can share the information, we'll officially communicate to you via email. Because of the demand for this training and the interest, we have organized a new session that will take place on the 27th and 28th October. So kindly, we've taken note of the concerns that we need to address and the key areas to focus on. So this will be a much more focused training, and we encourage you to share so at least many people can benefit. It's really about the more who learn, the more we can share this information out. So kindly take note, 27th to 28th October 2021, we'll be having the same training starting from 9:30. We'll share details via email and also social media. Like I said in the beginning, please, I hope from this training as part of networking and collaboration, issues of partnership, I hope you found at least 5 people that you can connect with, that you can learn from, that you can work with in the future. And also tomorrow we're having the same training, but for the French-speaking people. So if you know someone that is in either Rwanda, Benin, or any country that where they speak French and they would like to do social media training, please, there's a link that has been shared in the chat. Kindly share with them and let them be present tomorrow for the training. Now, the bigger pie is the RUFORUM African Higher Education Week. Normally, RUFORUM does focus on issues of networking, collaboration, partnerships. So this is after 3 years. So the previous meetings have been after every 2 years. So this is the 7th in the series. And I know Prince did mention issues of networking, collaboration, working together as a team in Africa. This is a platform for you. I highly encourage you to follow the proceedings. Kindly visit the RUFORUM website. I will be sharing the link shortly. Kindly share with people that have interest in higher education, farming, private sector, government, because policy makers, if you want to share your voice online or physically, this is a platform for you to do so. It will take place on the 6th to 10th of December, but prior to that, we'll be sharing some communication. So there will be some articles coming through, some high-level discussion reports coming through. So I encourage us that if this is the kind of thing you'd like to partner with or to network around, it is such a big chance for most of us in the sectors of policy, higher education, private sector, and researchers. So there will be also some prizes. So I think for me, if you can, please make time online and follow the dialogue online. It will be available. And we have a dedicated hashtag, which is Africa Higher Education Week 2021. You can follow the proceedings on Twitter, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, wherever the connections you have, you'll be able to have access. I strongly encourage all of us to join this platform. I believe it's very beneficial. Even as a comms person, you learn more. And also part of the training that we do is to allow you practice these things. So now when you say content creation, planning, when you say collaborating, when you say networking, this all comes to reality when you're engaging in this kind of platforms and audiences. And I just want to end by sending a quick shout out. I know people have been engaging with us online. I just want to say thank you so much to Nekesa. We see you on Twitter. I see Napoleon on Twitter. I see Tiga on Twitter. Thank you so much for engaging with us. And I highly encourage us to just keep the networks open. I see people are sharing their contacts in the chat room. Let's have these networks open to each other because every day is a learning process. So
Joan, you have muted yourself.
sorry guys, I left before everyone else leaving. My apologies. Yes, I was saying if the training will close in the next 5 minutes. So if you have any comments, you can leave them in the chat section. If you want to speak, let us know. So at least we feel like all of us in a way have participated in the online training. Thank you. Once again, we'll share the materials via email and we'll be able to also share the next trainings with you also via email. Do we do it together thing, a video together?
Thank you so much, John and Patricia, for the good work you've done. And we also want to thank our participants for sparing this time for the 2 days to be with us. And I strongly encourage you to always visit the various social media channels for RUForum, where you'll find a lot of opportunities for young people and for young professionals like you who are interested in communication. There are a lot of materials that you can help us share with your network in order to promote our cause to transform the community we live in. Thank you so much. But do share widely when we give you the information about the next training opportunity. Thank you very much.
From us, Kahil and Joanne, we just want to say bye-bye and thank you so much.